7 months on, how are you still employed by us?
I don't know.
Sean, do you understand what I am saying?
Yes, I do, sir.
And I've had this conversation with you before. If we can't trust what you say and what you see, we can't have you in our uniform. I'm calling you on your integrity. How does that make you feel?
I'm learning from it.
Are you angry with me for it?
No.
Do you understand it?
Yes. I don't get angry with this because, one, I have no experience. Before I came here, I had no experience. Two, I wasn't allowed to do this right here. I was not allowed to review my videos.
This is termination. I'm getting goosebumps. This is extremely concerning. Everybody likes you. I gotta be able to trust you. Was this a purposefully done lie?
No. I full-heartedly still believed I was on North Madison until you just pulled up Google Maps and showed me in the daytime.
This is going to get deeper because you're going to have a hard time answering some questions here real quick.
Okay.
Sean Grayson, the sinful, corrupt, evil, wicked, nasty, racist devil sheriff that killed Sonya Massey. Check out what they have to say.
When I say all cops are bad, it's because I work with them. It's because I work with them enough to know that the good cops are so few and far between, that the shit like Sonya Massey's case is so unsurprising to me, so deeply unsurprising to me, and yet still made me physically ill when I watched that video. Sonya called the cops herself because she thought there was an intruder at her home. They then went to her home, started questioning her, entered her home, were suspicious of her. Mind you, she had called them, asked her for her identification, and then when they noticed that she was in the middle of cooking dinner with a pot of boiling water on the stove to make pasta, they said, hey, can you go attend to that pot of boiling water? And then when she did that, they fired 6 times into her head. As a nurse, when I say that racism is a public health crisis, I mean it. And when I say racism is a public health crisis, and a lot of the perpetrators are other healthcare workers, I mean it. Because the amount of healthcare workers that I genuinely don't think even understand that there's an issue with our policing system in this country is so upsetting. But it's the truth. They fired at her 6 times over a pot of boiling water.
You have seen the injustice, and you watched it all by policeman body cams. Now, what happened to her was wrong. She called 911 thinking there was a prowler. She was calling for help. And they executed her. Now, we've seen it all. But something's just not settling right with me. Something I don't understand. As a mother who has lost her child in police custody, I can tell you for a fact, that body cam footage that we're all seeing, that ain't that easy to get. I had to get lawyers. I had to fight. I had to get notarized papers. Well, we had to go through hell and back to get that footage. And this was released nearly instantly. See, they told us that we can't have that right now. It's pending investigation. But how was all this policeman body cam footage released so quickly to social media? See, it's not like somebody was standing there and videoing it with the cell phone. There was no bystanders. This was in her own home, in her own kitchen. See, sometimes when they have somebody standing by and recording and they put that on social media, well, the police are a little bit quicker to release that footage. But that's not what happened in this case. See, I fought and it took me years to get that footage. Right along with thousands and thousands of other families that had to fight. What was done to her was wrong. Her and her family deserve justice. That officer needs to be sitting in a prison. But I just want somebody to make sense to me how all that body cam footage was released so quickly when so many of us have to sit here and fight to get that same exact footage. It's not posted, it's not shared, it's not released from the police stations. Why was this one? Why and how? How was that made possible? If somebody can make sense out of that, I'd appreciate it.
The man who did this deserves to be in prison for the rest of his life. She called them for help, they had no business being in her home, and she posed no threat at any point during the video. This was another completely unjustified murder that we would have had to take the word of an officer for if the body camera footage wasn't on, which it almost wasn't. I really wanted to stay on track in this video, but it's the same conversation over and over. Why are body cameras not on the entire shift? This I don't understand. Is it like we don't have money for the storage of the data? Is it that we don't have money for backup batteries? Like, this is the only job that you can take human life and keep your job. This is the only job on the planet that has that level of power, yet we let them walk around freely. If you worked in a Ross, those cameras are on all day. It doesn't matter if the store goes empty. Like, we have money for food, we don't have money to solve this very specific problem. Like, it just doesn't make sense. I watched all 36 minutes of the body camera footage, and I have like notes prepared, but like, what is there to say when this is the first option? How do we cure that? Why are these body cameras not on? The first guy had his on the entire time until someone said turn that off, which I think, again, why? The officer that took the shot turned his body camera on 21 seconds after pulling the trigger. And I know this because I looked up the body camera model, which is called an Axon 3. You might wonder sometimes when you see footage why it's silent for the first 30 seconds. This camera has a pre-buffer mode, which means when they hit the button, which is how it turns on, it backtracks 30 seconds with no audio to catch anything it might have needed to catch. They were so far into her home and conversation with her before he chose to press that button. He told the other people who showed up that I didn't have a choice, and quote unquote, that is crazy. He asked as he was getting the med kit moments after he told the other officer not to. Dispatch, does she have a record of being 1096, which is police code for is she crazy? This is again after he took the shot, so now we're looking to justify it before we have to retell this story. After he took the shot, the other officer said, let me grab my med kit, and he said, no need, it's in the head. 2 minutes later, he said, I'm gonna go get my kit. At the 3-minute mark, he said, I'm not even gonna waste my med kit. At the 4-minute mark, the other one who was holding her head said, she's still gasping. The lack of urgency between the time when he takes the shot, walks, not runs, to the car to get his med kit. He takes the time to check with dispatch to see if she has a history. Who knows if you could have saved her life? This is not to mention the fact that 1, you did not have to do it. 2, you have low lethal options. I checked with your police force. That's not the only tool they give you. He also worked for 6 departments in a 4-year span and has had no public incidences on record. But does that seem a little odd? He does have 2 DWIs, which I find suspicious. They were dropped down to a misdemeanor, but do we learn nothing every time this happens? Do we not learn that maybe we respond with mental health training? Do we not learn that maybe our first item we reach for isn't that in the tool belt?